I absolutely love the design of Doom Knights, so it makes me pretty happy to see more people using them recently, especially to such good effect. Here, Lenormand's going to be taking them as Warriors of Chaos into Cathay. Cathay being the absolute maven of land battles, it has been S tier pretty much since Immortal Empires came out in land battles, but let's see what they can do today. As Hazel leading the way with two Tzeentchian Doom Knights, including the ROR. He's got a front line of Marauders here with some great weapons as well mixed in, and 3 Chaos Chariots. And that's pretty much it. So no skirmishers, no... oh yeah, the 2 Manticores in there, obviously, to support Azazel as well. Should be pretty important. Manticores are not as good as they used to be. They struggle against the larger unit sizes of Immortal Empires, but still can be quite good at disrupting Cathay's missile units especially. We've got 2 Crane Gunners here and 3 Iron Hails. Some Jade Warriors with swords up front, Peasant Long Spears protecting the flanks, and some Jade Lancers as a backline reserve with some Peasant Horsemen for some front disruption. And let's get things rolling. So yeah, Doom Knights need to be used aggressively in terms of cycle charging, even though they have Barrier. Well, because of Barrier, honestly, in a lot of ways. You know, as they're cycle charging, they'll continue to replenish that as they do the out phase on that. And then, of course, decent stats, decent charge bonus, just kind of all-around solid combatants. Not the highest charge when you compare them to something like a Royal Pegasus Knight, obviously, but these guys are definitely a little bit of a different role. They're quite tanky, and just a generally great support unit. And that high, decently high defense. I mean, 36 is not insanely high, but it's definitely high enough that they can survive for a few seconds without taking too many hits. Like I said, you do want to cycle charge with them pretty aggressively. So speaking of aggressive charges, Marauders here in the front are going to get crumped by some Peasant Horsemen and Jade Lancers. Their Doom Knights are a little bit out of position to respond immediately, so the Cathayan Cavalry able to mostly get away there, but it does look like we're going to get a nice frontline engagement here. Iron Hails popping off into the Great Weapon Marauders in particular will do a lot of damage to them. Not the greatest value trade, but it's solid. The Marauders' armor-piercing damage will obviously be great against the Cathayans. But so far, the gun line is holding, getting a little bit of healing from Yao Ying as well to kind of shore up this front space here. The Chariots now came into collapse, and we're going to start to see some whips out from Azazel, who is starting to turn the flank here with the Knights of Immolation and the Manticores. The infantry battle is definitely well underway. Already some Marauders have been routed off, but the Chariots are starting to contribute, getting some nice little charges in the front side here on some various units. Doom Knights did go pretty far outside. I mean, I guess they were trying to get out of range of those Crane Gunners, but Manticores and Azazel now collapse in the near ground, disrupt those Crane Gunners, and then immediately move into the Iron Hails. Man, I love Azazel's animations. Looks so fantastic. We'll watch him just bully these poor Cathayan infantry here. All sleek and beautiful. Gonna throw down a Pavane. It's a spell I've been seeing a lot of recently. It's going to do a lot of damage to these Crane Gunners and also force them into an enraged state so they can't be microed. Very effective, obviously. And that does come from Azazel himself, of course. Yeah, Pavane of Slaanesh, honestly, pretty underrated spell. It's like Fate of Buna with Enrage. Maybe not quite as much damage as Fate of Buna, but basically the same idea, right? So that is going to help get these Crane Gunners off the field here. The rest of the battle just looks like Cathayan infantry and the Marauders scrapping all across. This Doom Knight is taking quite a bit of damage over on this side, which is a little bit tough, but should be able to cycle out and get their barrier back in play here, like Knights of Immolation here are doing. Yeah, that Talons of the Night, I'm not really sure what exactly the purpose of that was. Maybe I didn't catch if there was a unit in there they were trying to catch initially, but Miao Ying in dragon form can definitely help the Cathayans kind of push back some of this Chaos Assault here. Chariots also having a little bit of a tough time operating successfully. They're not necessarily taking a ludicrous amount of damage very quickly, but they're just kind of getting bogged down quite easily. And looks like they're having a hard time kind of moving around a little bit, but another lash there from Azazel, of course, going to give a nice map-wide attack buff to everything. That lore of Slaanesh just so strong in terms of a support lore for Chaos. Having extra attack definitely never hurts in a map wide. Hear the Cathayan peasants screaming from here. Wow, they are really having a good time, aren't they? Miao Ying coming in to get some terror routes on the Warriors. The Warriors are looking a little bit thin on mainline units, but their mobility is still very much in play. The Doom Knights managed to get out in space, and here they're going to eat up some of these rallied Iron Hails. See Talons of the Night popping off there on the blob, getting those Martyr Great Weapons down. But both the Manticores are still in reasonably decent shape, about half HP each. Of course, Azazel himself has taken almost no damage, which is going to be pretty important here, as he is quite a potent character. But yeah, despite how desperate it may seem on the face of it, it's actually okay for Chaos. Yeah, the more that the Cathayans kind of spread apart here in this phase of the battle, they're going to allow themselves to be eaten up by Chaos mobility. But yeah, at the same time, they do have some mobility of their own. There's still a full health unit of Jade Lancers. Obviously, Miao Ying in Dragon form can get out in different spaces, try and make a difference. So best thing to do would be to try and form up with some of these units right here. If you could get these Iron Hails back in play, that would definitely be great. But there's like the makings of a battle line here, but like these two infantry definitely should pull back. Like just stop over advancing with all of these other infantry and try and form a cohesive battle line again. Because Cathay plays best, you know, in position. When they get out of position like this, they tend to struggle a lot. A lot of units right now are not in harmony. In fact, I would be surprised if any units are in harmony at the present moment. Yeah, we've got some Iron Hails coming back, but most of the missile units have been effectively dealt with, which means Lenormand's got his work cut out for him. He's going to drop a little flaming feces from the Knights of Immolation there. Just, you know, pull the lever. One of these spikes is actually secretly a lever, and it just, the eye opens up, and they just, you know, pop a squat right over the eye. And then the flames on the bottom apply the flaming effect, and there you go. That's magic for ya. Anyway. Yeah. These Doom Knights are going to combine with the Azazel and the Chaos Chariots here to get some nice charges. Again, just punishing all these scattered, tattered infantry, which are obviously very cost-effective in the right situation. But, yeah, Cathay does not like getting pulled apart like this, like a beautiful cinnamon roll. Do you guys pull apart your cinnamon rolls, or do you just take a chomp like a psychopath? Let me know down in the comments below. Anyway. Yeah, the Manticore is moving in now, the Chaos Chariots. This is quite a lot of mobility still on station here with both the Doom Knights as well as Azazel. So this is what Cathay should have done a little bit ago. It's just kind of form up with all of these units, get in a little healing circle here, get some Earthblood on some of these different units, try and get some harmony modifiers from Yao Ying, although this last missile unit is now looking exposed, and it looks like we're going to see another Pavane just shut them down. It did manage to gun down one Zinch gunner there in the distance, but that's a cool spell effect. I actually haven't seen the spell effect of Pavane that much, but I'm glad to see people using it more often, and that was maybe the best usage of it I've seen so far. That is going to decisively put a dent and prevent those Iron Hail gunners from getting what would have been some pretty decisive volleys on those unshielded, unbarriered Zinch Knights. But Jade Lancers are going to provide some mass here, try and stop up this charge. Yao Ying also getting a little bit of healing in. But Norm is going to, I would say aggressively, but rightly, I should say, aggressively cycle charge. I mean, this is totally the right call in this situation, and justified, again, from the Cathay's player's perspective. You don't want to get pulled out of position. You just want to form up and kind of eat the charges as much as possible. Yeah, they don't really have any recourse left at this point, because especially with this like last Jade Lancer now taking enough damage that it's mostly combat ineffective. We're going to pop it into fast forward and just let it play. Miao Ying trying her best to hold things back, but the AoE damage from Azazel is still online. That said, I mean, the Doom Knights, their stats are good. They're not incredible. And they are starting to take quite a bit of damage over time. And their barrier replenishes slow enough that it's kind of inefficient sometimes to actually try and cycle charge with the barrier, like regenerating it, because, yeah, I mean, like this, for example, this whole time they haven't been supporting that engagement, and even still aren't quite even regenerating their barrier yet. So let's see. They're going to pull up, open up the hatches, and drop another load down. And now Miao Ying's in some pretty serious trouble. She got kind of teamed up on their 3v1 with Azazel and the two Manticores. Of course, one Manticore is now gone. But there's plenty of Doom Knights still, and Azazel basically being full health and having awesome stats is, yeah, 70 attack with 500 weapon strength. Azazel's definitely no pushover. Excellent duelist. And he's going to show that here. See how Miao Ying responds. She's going to go back into human form, maybe try and get some more healing. Just hold out with what's left of her infantry. And the holding out is almost working. I mean, the Manticore's gone now. This last chariot looks like it's just about gone. This Doom Knight has 8 unit models with about 600 HP left. So, yeah, Miao Ying is holding very well at this point. This will go on for some time. So we'll continue to fast forward. As the Doom Knight cycle charge, Miao Ying's going to desperately try and heal the last of her infantry here to help her hold out against this unholy onslaught. But Manticore comes in once again with Azazel 2v1. On foot, she's going to be a little bit less vulnerable, I think, because she's a smaller target, can work better alongside of her infantry. Does manage to actually shatter the Manticore there, and the Doom Knights also both get just insanely dangerously low. Miao Ying will transform, and it's, yeah, it comes down to just Miao Ying and a handful of infantry still against Azazel and these Doom Knights. Doom Knights lining up for another drop, man. They have so many drops on that. They must have gotten so much value. Just hot flaming loads all over people's heads. 259 kills. Let's compare that to this other one. Yeah, 116 kills, 1,500 value there, so both of these absolutely paying dividends. It's interesting, this one got a little more kill totals, but about the same value, more or less, so definitely interesting. Anyway, we'll continue to fast forward as the Cathayans hold out against this. Lenorm just being very safe, not wanting to take unnecessary risks, and make sure he shatters as many of these units as possible. One Doom Knight even routes while it's chasing a routing unit, which is kind of hilarious. But that's life for you. Eventually they're going to get this Jade Warrior eliminated. The big final charge, one more drive-by, Flaming Feces, and here we go. Charge in, which I kind of missed, but Azazel now. Yeah, a little bit of an anticlimax, but he's going to rout off Miao Ying, as is pretty much a given at this point. Yeah, over 300 kills on the last bombardment for the Knights of Immolation, which is just fantastic. Azazel also carries an insane amount of value as well. That's great to see. Both the Manticores are pretty cost-effective. The Chariots also, even 2 of them, basically pay for themselves, right? More or less. Marauder just gets eaten up. Besides 128 kills and 680 value somehow on this one Marauder. It's just fantastic. Yeah, from Cathay's side, I mean, just kind of let themselves get pulled apart a little bit there, and as a result, these missile units did not pay out other than 1 Iron Hail. Just goes to show, though, like, even in a short amount of time, those Iron Hails are extremely dangerous. So I really like the use of Vein to kind of counter them. Cavalry was a little bit of a mixed bag. Did pretty decent overall. They had some good targets to go after. But at the end of the day, there just wasn't quite enough left in the tank to take out a win. So, yeah, ended up being super close, but definitely a fun one for sure. Hope you guys enjoyed as much as I did. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.